I never thought my life would end in a hospital bed, with tubes in my arms and the smell of antiseptic all around me. The doctor had been gentle when he told me there were no more treatments left. I just nodded and asked for a window where I could see the sky. That afternoon, the nurse pushed my bed closer to the glass, and I watched the clouds drift slowly, the way they did when my children were small. I smiled instead of crying. I had cried enough years ago. My name is Linda. I am 78 years old, or I was when this story truly began for the last time. I raised 3 children in a little yellow house on Maple Street. There was Sarah, my gentle oldest girl, then Michael, my quiet middle boy, and little David, the one who came late and filled the house with laughter. Their father, Robert, passed when David was only 9. After that, it was just the 4 of us, against the world. I worked double shifts at the diner, came home smelling of coffee and bacon, and still found time to braid Sarah's hair, help Michael with his math, and read David 3 stories every night. Those were hard years, but they were warm years too. I thought the love we gave each other would be enough to carry us forever. David was always the sensitive one. He clung to my skirt when he was little and cried the first day of kindergarten because he didn't want to leave me. Even as a teenager, he would slip into my room after his father's anniversary and ask me if I was okay. I would smooth his hair and tell him, "Mommy is always okay when you're here." He believed me. I believed me. When David met Emily, I was happy for him. She was pretty, smart, and laughed easily. They married in our backyard under the old apple tree. I wore the blue dress I saved for special days and cried when they said their vows. Emily hugged me tight that evening and whispered, "Thank you for raising such a good man, Mom." I thought we would be family in the truest sense. The first tiny crack appeared 2 years later when their first baby came. I drove to the hospital the moment David called. I walked in with a hand-knitted blanket and tears in my eyes. Emily was holding the baby, glowing, and David was taking pictures. I reached out to hold my grandson, but Emily turned slightly and said, "We're still settling in, Linda. Maybe tomorrow." I smiled and said, "Of course. Tomorrow is perfect." I went home with the blanket still in my arms. Small moments like that started adding up. I would call to ask if they needed anything, and the phone would go to voicemail. I would drop off a casserole after Emily had a long week, and it would still be on the porch when I drove by the next day. David stopped coming to Sunday lunch. He said they were busy, the baby was teething, work was hard. I understood. Babies are hard. I kept understanding for years. Sarah and Michael noticed. Sarah pulled me aside one Christmas and asked me, "Mom, why does it feel like David changed when he married Emily?" I told her marriage changes people, and we have to love them anyway.
Michael just shook his head and said David was different now. I shushed them both. A mother protects her children, even when they're grown, even when they're the ones hurting her. Years slipped by quietly. My grandchildren grew, 3 of them now, and I saw them mostly in photographs Emily posted online. I would sit at my kitchen table with a cup of tea and study those pictures for hours, looking for traces of my David in their faces. I sent birthday cards with $20 bills inside. They were always thanked with a quick text from Emily. "Kids say thank you." Never an invitation to come see them open the cards. I got sick slowly. First, it was tiredness that wouldn't leave, then pain in my bones, then the diagnosis. Cancer. Advanced. When I told my children, Sarah cried and moved into my house to take care of me. Michael drove 4 hours every weekend. David called once. He sounded rushed. He said, "Mom, I'm so sorry this is happening. We'll come see you soon. Soon never came. The months went by and the treatment stopped working. I came home from the hospital for the last time, with hospice papers in my hand. Sarah held me while I cried. Just once, quietly. Then I dried my face and said, "It's all right, darling. We've had a good life." She helped me into the bed that now lived in the living room so I could see the garden. One rainy afternoon, the doorbell rang. Sarah was in the kitchen making soup. I heard her open the door, heard the pause, then her soft voice saying, "She's in here." Footsteps. Slow, uncertain ones. David walked into the room alone. He looked older than I expected. His hair had gray at the temples, and there were lines around his eyes I didn't remember. He stood at the foot of my bed holding his coat, dripping rain on my carpet. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then he whispered, "Mom." Just that one word, cracked right down the middle. I reached out my hand, thin and bruised from needles. He dropped the coat and came to me. He knelt beside the bed and laid his head on my chest, the way he did when he was 5 and had a nightmare. I felt his tears soak through my nightgown. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said, voice breaking. "I'm so sorry I stayed away." I stroked his hair the same way I did all those years ago. My fingers remembered the path. "It's okay, sweetheart," I said softly. "You're here now."
He cried harder. "I let her keep you away. Emily said you were too involved, that we needed space, that you judged her parenting. I was tired and stupid, and I listened. I told myself you were fine because Sarah and Michael were with you. But I missed you every single day, Mom. Every day." I closed my eyes and let the words settle inside me. They hurt, but they also healed something that had been bleeding for years. "I missed you too," I said, "but I never stopped loving you, not for 1 second." He held my hand tighter. "The kids, they don't really know you. That's my fault. I robbed them of the best grandmother in the world, and I robbed you of them." I smiled a little. I said, "There's still time. Bring them tomorrow. I want to see their faces while I still can." He nodded against my shoulder. "I will, I promise." We sat like that for a long time, rain tapping the windows, soup smelling warm in the kitchen, Sarah quietly crying in the hallway where she had gone to give us space. David told me about his children, how the oldest wants to be a doctor, how the middle one draws beautiful birds, how the youngest still sleeps with a stuffed elephant. I listened and stored every detail like treasures. That night, he slept on the couch. Sarah brought him a blanket and kissed his forehead like he was little again. In the morning, he brought the children. They were shy at first, standing in the doorway with wide eyes. I opened my arms and said, "Come give Grandma a hug. I've been waiting a long time." They came running. 3 little bodies climbed carefully onto the bed,
and I felt their warmth against my tired bones. David stood back, tears running down his face, watching. Emily never came. David said she was ashamed and didn't know how to face me. I told him that was all right. Some doors close so others can open. I only needed my son and my grandchildren. The next days were the sweetest of my life. David hardly left my side. He read me the stories I used to read him. We looked at old photo albums and laughed until I had to reach for the oxygen mask.
He held my hand when the pain came and told me about the treehouse he built for the kids, how he thought of me every time he hammered a nail because I taught him how to hold a hammer. One evening, the sun was setting gold through the window and the children had gone home with Sarah to give me rest. David sat beside me, holding my hand against his cheek. "Mom," he said quietly, "I need you to know I'm proud to be your son. I was lost for a while, but I found my way back because your love never left me. I felt it even when I was too stubborn to answer the phone." I looked at him, my little boy all grown, and I felt peace fill every corner of my heart. "I know, darling," I said. "A mother's love is patient. It waits. It always waits." He cried again, and I let him. Then I told him the thing I needed him to carry when I was gone. "Love your children the way I loved you," I said. "Be there. Answer the phone. Open the door. Family is the only thing we get to keep forever." He promised he would. 3 days later, I slipped away in my sleep. Sarah told me later that David was holding my hand when I took my last breath, and he whispered, "Thank you, Mom. I love you." I heard him. I heard him perfectly. If you take anything from my story, let it be this: love is stronger than pride, stronger than misunderstanding, stronger than years of silence. If there is someone you love who feels far away, reach out today. Say the words you're holding back. Open the door. There might not be as much time as you think. And if you are the one waiting on the other side, keep the light on. Keep your heart soft. They might find their way home when they need you most. I know my David did, and that was enough.